Good morning, Late Talker families. Welcome to Late Talker Listens. We're talking this morning with Harleen's mom. Harleen is about to be 11, which is hard for me to imagine. And she's a wonderful girl, lively, spirited, happy, talented little girl. Good morning, Rajpreet. How are you?
I'm good, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. I'm here with Steve Camarata, and
Glad you're here.
we're kind of sharing a little bit of our experiences and asking questions and hoping that that's supportive to other late talking families. So what do you have on your mind this morning?
First of all, I would like to say a big thanks to you and Steve for supporting us on this journey from where we started to where we are, how flourishing Harleen has been now.
Oh, it's
Thank you
great.
so much.
Well, you're
Yeah.
it's actually our pleasure. We care a lot about
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for that so much.
That is great. And now remind everybody who's listening, what grade is Harleen in?
She just completed her fourth grade, currently enjoying her summer vacation, and she'll go into grade 5.
Wow, that's hard for me to believe. Wow. Okay, great. And she's in private school?
She's in a private school. Private. I think we went through few different options, and finally we settled with First Lutheran, where she's been flourishing. She's gotten very good support, very kind teachers, and she's been happy.
Yeah, and one of the things I kind of remember about your journey is it wasn't easy for you to find that educational home.
It wasn't, and we wouldn't be able to find it without your support because more than anything else, she needed somebody who was warm, who showed warmth to her, who was
Yes.
not like, who did not have any set of expectations, just being there for the child, with what
Yeah.
child has to offer and with what you can offer as just being a kind person.
Yeah, she's such a delightful girl. It's hard to imagine that it would be difficult to be warm and friendly to her. But, she may, when she was a lot younger, she might have been, wanting to do the things she wanted to do, but she'd want you to join her and do it. It's just she didn't want to do a lot of the more boring things maybe to her.
Yeah.
I remember her cooking. You said I remember her cooking and
Lots of mixing stuff and then throwing it. Yes, we went through that phase.
yeah. It was
So
fun.
one of the things I wanted to really emphasize in what you said, which is really wise, which is you want a teacher in a school that's warm to your late talking child. And so many times when people are evaluating schools, they look at the academic standing, they look at, does it have this curriculum or that curriculum? And those are important factors. But the most important factor is, do they like my child? Do they embrace teaching my child, even though they may be learning in a different way? And it doesn't matter what the education approach is. If they don't see the child in a positive light, it's not going to go well. And that's true for all children, but especially true for our late talkers. So your words are absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Did you happen?
Yeah, and just to add to that, we went through that phase where we went with the city's top school with like high academics and super high fees, and they interviewed the child. Everything went fine, and eventually it came to that maybe you should put your child in a special school.
Yes.
And yeah, so I'm glad we finally found a school which is good in academics as well as they have a lot of warmth for the child.
Yeah, that's great.
And that thanks goes to Mary, actually.
Well,
She helped
I
us
don't
find.
know. You
Mary
guys,
is very skilled at finding schools.
You did the hard work and
Yeah.
the school. I wish I could just make a list of schools that are just so supportive because, honestly, I always thought to myself, who would think picking out a kindergarten or a second grade or a fourth grade would keep you up long winter nights? But it does. And when you find that wonderful school and that caring teacher, it is the biggest gift in the world. You sleep at night, it's just wonderful. But
And it breaks your heart as a parent when you hear these things from teachers who are supposed to be kind. They're just kindergartners.
yeah,
They don't need to be studying PhD stuff. They just need to be kids and just being
yeah,
well mannered and trying their best and enjoying.
yeah.
So yeah. You go through a phase, but glad we had your support.
Well, thank you for that. Did you say you had a question? Did you have a specific
I did.
question? Okay.
I did. So I think you have seen her since she was 1.5 years old. So now she's going to be 11 next month. So what
Wow.
advice do you have for she going into like next few years into teenage life? What we can do as a parent to support her better?
That's a great question. She's like kind of a pre-adolescent getting into her teen years.
So what's really important is to start thinking about, you have your fourth grade and fifth grade curriculum, but it's not too early to start thinking about, okay, what's the adult Harleen going to look like? What's she going to do in terms of a career? And starting to think about the academic on-ramp for that. So you can start thinking about what she likes to do. You can start talking to her about, what she wants to do, and start guiding her in her academics in that direction, because a lot of our schools are really geared for pre-college, and there's a lot of humanities and liberal arts, which are fine, but they may not necessarily align with the on-ramp for the rest of a child's life. There's a great report out by the National Academy of Science called Optimizing Outcomes. I was one of the people on that panel. So you can look at that, and it talks about, even at age, even in early school age, but certainly by middle school, be thinking about, okay, what's a 20-year-old Harleen look like, and how do I get her there academically? Because it might take her a little more time to learn some of the skills that she's going to need as she transitions to her adult life.
Steve, actually, where my mind went instantly was the experience we have with late talkers. That's that kind of that unique challenge of middle school.
Yes.
Mom, you've
Right.
already done one of the good things. You have a caring, kind school that communicates with you. What grade does your school go up to?
Till 8.
Up to 8?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good.
That's really good.
But I mean, do you remember all the late talks we have where that's where they start to feeling a little left out or a little odd man out, and when they're more at risk of bullying? I think you're at where you are. You have really minimized that option, but families out there listening, you do have to be aware of it in middle school.
So I think,
even with our own son, do you remember?
so I think, so my answer was really about the long-term
Yeah,
perspective and
But how do
understanding
you
that.
navigate?
But there is a
13?
short-term perspective too, and middle school is just difficult for all children. It's, one could argue it's not really a good system, and I actually like the idea that you're going into 8th grade where you have a supportive culture. But as a parent, you have to think about, okay, what's my on-ramp to social media? How do I do that? You got to keep an eye out for bullying, and you're just going to have to be a little more vigilant as you go through.
Yeah.
But it's certainly true that in middle school, the risk of exclusion, and we know this has more of a factor on females, and being excluded and these kinds of things. So the things you can do to help, keeping an eye on friends groups, being a family that includes other children so that you can help support, Harleen's journey and social skills. All those things are going to be very important in the short term as you navigate middle school, for sure.
Right. And then one other thing I would say that, just having sort of a regular routine in your day where you get to communicate with Harleen just about her day, right? Not necessarily about what needs to be done that day, or that you're going to the store, or if she's going to help cook dinner, or whatever it is, that's good. And then there are wonderful programs that people look into to help schools be supportive, right? And they there was one mom, I think, if you can remember this, she had a very difficult middle school. She accessed one of these curriculums to sort of bring awareness to the classroom, to sort of unite the classroom together in terms of people pulling together and being responsible for each other. And there's literally materials out there, and she introduced them to the teachers, and the teachers embraced them. And that parent made themselves very useful by making the access to these already effective materials available and easy for these teachers to access. And then they carried it out in their classroom, and it was a big success. And it's a little bit out of our lane, but there's many people and many investigators and many people that's exactly what they do. They try to provide you tools and strategies to make this really difficult time of growing up something that brings to the consciousness of everyone, especially the children, right, of being responsible to each other. And it's also a great time to start looking at social pragmatics. It's a great time to maybe, your child's communicating pretty well now. They're going along on their academic journey, and it's really a great time to turn our attention to social pragmatics and how we interpret the world and interact.
So the last piece of advice I'll give, and I actually think it may be one of the most important. What happens a lot in middle school is that children of all kinds, but sometimes late talkers, they don't talk as much with their parents, and so it's really important just to spend time with them. And it's important to spend time with them on activities that they enjoy. And it shouldn't be an interrogation session. What it should be is you walking. A lot of times walks are really good, hikes, things like that. But where you're just there with your late talker and you're listening and you're having a good time together, and having that be part of the routine so that the late talker as they transition into the teen years, which we all know are their own challenges. I was once interviewed by a reporter about a parenting book I'd written, and the punchline was, this is the only person I've ever interviewed that actually enjoyed teenage years. And I enjoyed that because I know their prefrontal cortex is not formed. And so I got delight in all the crazy things my teenagers would say, that were interesting to me. It was a little harder on Mary in some ways. But anyway, long story short, you want to have this communication routine. It's not that you're their friend necessarily, you're their parent, but you're there, you're listening, and you're giving them opportunities to communicate with you. And again, it's not an interrogation session, but it is a listening conversation session where just the time and being together is what's really crucial.
Yeah, and just one thing I'm motivated by your question, Rajpreet, is I'm going to try to get some materials, just some resources that people can link to connect you to people that actually, have some really supportive strategies for you, supportive, tools for the teachers, tools for you. So let me see if I can get this on our
really
website.
Helpful, actually.
Yeah, I'm writing that down right now. So very good.
So don't forget to celebrate all the wonderful things that have happened and look back and say, wow, look at some old videotapes. That's always good to do. Or old recordings. I guess we don't use videotapes anymore. And then, the journey is forward. It still has its journey and its differences for late talkers. But, be vigilant and continue to look for this context where they like Harleen and they like you and they're working with you to teach her and help her to grow. And that's so important. And you've done a wonderful job. So pat yourself on the back.
Yeah. She's a busy mom. You have, you're a mom of 3.
Two.
No.
Wait a minute. Don't tell her how many children she has.
That's right. I'm sorry. I messed up.
Yeah. Mary has 7. So that's maybe what happens. 2 is plenty.
Well, 2.
2 is too many sometimes.
I'll tell you, I'm a mom of 7. And you know what I thought was the most work? 2.
2 is a lot of work.
But we won't go into that on air. But thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about Harleen. I love hearing about it. And every time I talk to a parent, I'm like, I have to call you later. I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear more. I want to help you with this next little thing and give you some, because middle school is something it's a different animal. It's a different beast.
It is.
And you're going there.
And it's good for you to be proactive.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm happy you guys are with us to guide us through that also. Thank you so much for the wonderful advice and having me.
Yeah, we are too. We love it. All right. Well,
Thank you, Mary.
Say hello to Harleen and your one other child.
Well, you can say she's equal to 2, so 3 is fine.
Yeah, there you go. She was okay.
She's handful.
Yeah, you're rescuing me. All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.